Max Verstappen faced intense booing during the F175 event in London, sparking outrage among his fan base. The situation has now escalated further, as his father has threatened to boycott future events alongside Max. This could lead to even bigger consequences, especially given Verstappen and Red Bull's dissatisfaction with how they were treated in the British capital. Could this situation develop into something more serious? And more importantly, can Max escape the hostility in the UK? If you're interested, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and put a like. It's clear that Verstappen isn't the most popular figure in Britain, particularly in the motorsport world. Throughout his career, he has frequently battled British drivers for the championship. In 2021, his main rival was Lewis Hamilton, while last year it was Lando Norris. Additionally, Verstappen has often been the target of harsh criticism from the British media, who have taken his statements out of context and pushed provocative narratives. This is why, after his hard-fought victory at the Brazilian Grand Prix last year, Verstappen pointed out the noticeable absence of British media at the press conference. However, the recent booing in London has taken things to another level. When Verstappen, Christian Horner, and the Red Bull team unveiled their new car to fans, both in attendance and watching from home, loud jeers could be heard. They weren't the only ones to receive a negative reaction at London's O2 Arena. The FIA was also booed when its logo appeared on the big screen. However, motorsport's governing body has come to the defense of Verstappen and Horner, condemning the fans' behavior as tribalistic. A spokesperson from the FIA stated, "Great rivalries throughout the history of motorsport have contributed to making it such an exciting experience for fans. But what underpins sport at all levels is a culture of respect." As such, it was disappointing to hear the crowd's tribalistic reaction to the FIA Formula One world champion Max Verstappen and his Red Bull team principal and CEO Christian Horner at the F1 launch in London. As part of the FIA's commitment to protecting the integrity of the sport, we are leading a coalition tackling online abuse in sport under the banner of our United Against Online Abuse campaign. We stand with all of our competitors, officials, volunteers, and fans to unite against this growing threat. We urge the sporting community to consider the impact of their actions both online and offline. While this might not mean much to Max, since he has grown used to criticism from the British media, the fact that he was booed by 25,000 people in front of the entire world, despite coming off the greatest season of his career and winning a championship in the third fastest car on the grid, could certainly affect his mood and stance on the sport. As far as we know, Max is not a huge fan of staying in Formula One for as long as some of the greatest athletes have. He has hinted that he might retire early, possibly in his 30s, to pursue a different path. Unpleasant situations like this are likely shaping his mindset in that direction. The portrayal of Verstappen as the bad guy in the UK started back in 2021, and it's unlikely to change as long as he remains in the sport. His recent conflict with George Russell, another British driver, has likely added fuel to the fire, making the boos even louder. Booing has always been a part of the sport. Verstappen gets his fair share whenever F1 visits Silverstone, just as Hamilton has been booed at Zandvoort. However, the situation is becoming more tense, as the hostility towards Max seems to have deeper roots, including media bias and Russell's recent comments. Regardless, Jos Verstappen remains firm in his stance that this type of behavior has no place in the sport, especially not for a driver who has won 4 world championships and established himself among the sport's greatest. Speaking about the situation, Jos said, "You are there to promote the sport and showcase the new car liveries, but if the fans behave like this, then what's the point? Max had to go there anyway, but then he gets booed like that? I think they need to take a hard look at that because this is not part of the sport." However, as mentioned earlier, the booing wasn't only directed at Verstappen and Horner. The FIA was also heavily booed during another part of the event. This reaction is somewhat more understandable, given the growing dissatisfaction with the governing body in recent months. Even celebrities like Gordon Ramsay have weighed in. During the event, Ramsay argued that drivers should be allowed to use foul language when racing at speeds of 300 kilometers per hour, before his microphone was cut off. This highlights the widespread criticism of the FIA and its leadership under President Mohammed bin Sulayem. Regarding the FIA's response to the booing, Ben Sulayem did not focus much on it. Instead, he discussed the future of the sport, emphasizing the need to maintain excitement while considering cost control and sustainability. He stated, "This week's F1 launch in London has triggered a lot of positive discussions about the future of the sport. We should consider a range of directions, including the roaring sound of the V10 running on sustainable fuel. Whichever direction is chosen, we must support teams and manufacturers in ensuring cost control on R&D expenditure. Delivering for our members and fans will always be at the heart of all we do, alongside important work to make the sport safer and more sustainable for decades to come, ensuring future generations can enjoy F1. With all this in mind, do you think the booing towards Verstappen, Horner, and the FIA has further divided the fan base? What should Red Bull do to improve its image and be seen as the good guys in this situation? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.